Hello, this is Camnet TV News and welcome to our 1930 main news. To present, my name is Jeffrey Ziambo and top stories in the news tonight. Heavy rains cause havoc in Zambia's Chilanga district. SEC NABS Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority officials. The state denies threatening former PF boss Davies MWILA with prosecution. In international news, thousands homeless after homes swept away in Madagascar floods. And in sports news, England captain OWEN FARRELL ruled out of Six Nations with ankle injury.
From 31st January to 6 February 2022, Zambia's spiritual atmosphere will take a paradigm shift. The Bible says, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord."
Zambia, a nation under God conference
will be starting at 20:45 hours
to 22:30 hours.
Live on Camnet TV channel 274 on DSTV, GoTV channel 98 and Topstar channel 106.
Speakers will be
Bishop Stanley Simnyola, Grace Ministries;
Dr. Nevas Mumba, Victory Ministries;
Apostle Michael Mutemwa from South Africa;
Bishop Nelly Chikwanda, New Life Christian Center;
Apostle Rick Kamwanga, Risen Life Church International;
Bishop Joy Makando, Bread of Life;
Bishop Alex Mwami of Holy Ghost Firehouse from South Africa; and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilua.
Camnet Television,
not just another channel.
Hello and thanks for joining us. Opposition Patriotic Front supporter Maxwell Chongo has pleaded not guilty before the Lusaka Magistrate Court for unlawful wounding someone in 2017. Mr. Chongo, a businessman of Sugar Street, Avondale in Lusaka, is alleged to have, on the 4th of March 2017, wounded Richard Nyambe on his left ankle. The alleged incident is said to have occurred during a clash between the PF and UPND cadres in Lusaka's North Mid area. More in this report.
Wednesday morning, former Opposition Patriotic Front member Maxwell Chongo made his second appearance before the Lusaka's Magistrate Court in the company of his lawyer to answer to unlawful wounding charge. Last week, Mr. Chongo appeared before the subordinate court. However, his charge sheet, or rather his indictment, was not before court. According to a statement issued by the police, the accused is alleged to have attacked two people, namely Richard Nyambe, by inflicting a deep cut on his left ankle, and Innocent Nyambe by inflicting a deep cut on his stomach whilst using a machete. The incident is alleged to have occurred in North Mid area near Total Filling Station.
Police have charged and arrested Maxwell Chongo, aged 40, of house number 1223, Sugar Street, Avondale, for 2 counts of unlawful wounding. It is alleged that on the 4th of March 2017, the accused did unlawfully wound male Richard Sinonge, aged 37, by inflicting a deep cut on his left ankle, and male Innocent Nyambe, aged 32, a deep cut on the stomach whilst using a machete. The two victims were attacked by the accused in North Mid area near Total Filling Station. He is in police custody and will appear in court soon.
But according to the charge sheet before court, the 40-year-old businessman of Lusaka's Avondale area has been slapped with 1 count of unlawful wounding, contrary to Section 232A of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the Laws of Zambia. Mr. Chongo, who was arrested in December 2021 by the police on the said charges, is alleged to have, on the 4th of March 2017, wounded Richard Nyambe. The accused, who appeared before Lusaka Magistrate Tandosa Chawala this morning, pleaded not guilty to the said allegation, leaving the court to adjourn the matter to the 8th of March 2022 for possible commencement of trial. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The state has refuted claims alleged before the Lusaka High Court by former Patriotic Front Secretary General Davies MWILA that the Drug Enforcement Commission threatened him and other PF members with prosecution if they failed to disclose their source of campaign funds for the 12th August 2021 general elections. In this case, Mr. MWILA has cited the Attorney General as respondent, and he is seeking damages for intimidation and harassment of PF members by the DEC. Mr. MWILA has also insisted in his lawsuit that the funds PF used in the ended elections was not money laundering and will prove so at trial. However, in its defense, the state has submitted before court that the DEC did not question the PF's source of funding for the 2021 general elections, but regarding alleged money laundering. Miriam Kaimba once again reports.
In September 2021, the opposition Patriotic Front Party protested over what they termed has alleged harassment of its members by the investigative wings and ran to the Lusaka High Court and filed a lawsuit against the state to stop security agencies from intimidating and illegally questioning the party members. The said lawsuit has been filed by the party former Secretary General Davies MWILA, who has cited the Attorney General as the respondent. He claims in his submission before court that PF members are being threatened by the Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, with prosecution if they do not disclose their source of campaign funds for the 2021 12 August general elections. In his statement of claim earlier filed before court, Mr. MWILA had told the Lusaka High Court that officers from the Drug Enforcement Commission Anti-Money Laundering Unit summoned him and questioned him about the source of funds for the August elections, and the officers linked the same to money laundering. However, in the latest submissions filed before court, the state has argued that the DEC did not threaten Mr. MWILA and other PF members with prosecution if they failed to disclose their source of funds for campaign activities. In further defense, the state adds that Mr. MWILA was summoned by DEC in his own capacity and not as the party Secretary General, and his questioning was in relation to alleged money laundering. Mr. MWILA further in his earlier submission had also alleged that DEC equally summoned the party media director Antonio Mwanza and Teddy Mapemba and questioned him on the source of campaign funds, but the Attorney General has refuted the claims and says the DEC only questioned them on money laundering. The Attorney General further adds that DEC is mandated under the Prohibition and Prevention of Money Laundering Act No. 14 of 2001 to probe into money laundering related issues and may legally summon any person it reasonably believes may have information relating to allegation on the same to give relevant information to the Commission. On the other side, Mr. MWILA in his submission before court insisted that the funds used in the elections was not money laundering and will prove so at trial, thereby claiming that the state pays the PF damages for intimidation and harassment of its members. The party is also seeking damages for mispresentation and defamation of character following allegations by DEC that the PF source of funds was linked to money laundering. Hearing of this matter continues before the Lusaka High Court. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Anti-Corruption Commission has arrested and charged Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority ZAMRA Director General and Principal Regulatory Officer for corrupt practices. Benis Mwale, aged 64, of Shadley, Lusaka, and Brian Mwanei Kabika, aged 42, of Meanwood, Chamba Valley, have been charged with willful failure to comply with applicable law and procedure, contrary to Section 34, subsection Cap 2 and Cap B of the Anti-Corruption Act No. 3 of 2012. Anti-Corruption Commission spokesperson Queen Chiwe confirmed the development to Camnet TV News.
The Anti-Corruption Commission has arrested and charged Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority ZAMRA Director General and Principal Regulatory Officer for corrupt practices. Bernice Mwale, age 64, of Chadley, Lusaka, and Brian Mwanei Kabika, aged 42, of Minu Champ Valley, have been charged with willful failure to comply with applicable law and procedure contrary to Section 34, subsection 2 of the Anti-Corruption Act No. 3 of 2012. Details are that on dates unknown, but between 1st July 2019 and 30th September 2019, Ms. Mwale and Mr. Kabika, jointly and whilst acting together with other persons unknown, failed to comply with applicable procedure and regulations when processing license number PL/50091/19 in favor of Honeybee Pharmacy. The above officials have since been released on bond and will appear in court soon.
About 15 houses in Kanchule settlement of Tabulange area in Chilanga district have had their roofs blown off following the strong winds and heavy rainfall. In an interview, Area Councillor Mr. Tungunengenge Chinoya says the victims have been assisted with food items, as most of their food items and clothes were stocked, while calling on cooperating partners to come on board and help in the rebuilding of homes for the victims. Some parts of the country have been experiencing heavy rainfall, with the Zambia Meteorology Department predicting a 5-day storm, which has been named Anna, expected to cause flooding and damage to infrastructure in several parts from the 25th to the 31st of January 2022. More in this report.
Weather patterns have been unpredictable in Zambia over the past few years, just like in other parts of the world, due to climate change. While some parts have been reporting dry spells, others like Southern Province have been reporting heavy floods, which has even seen household animals like chickens being carried away. This has also seen an increase in the number of houses whose roofs have been blown off. The case of Kanchule area in Chilanga district. Over 15 houses here have been affected by the heavy wind and rain the area has been experiencing, which has seen the roofing sheets being blown off and their houses being damaged. In an interview, Area Councillor Mr. Tungenengene Chinoya says his office has helped the victims with food items as well as temporary mending to some houses, calling for stakeholders to come on board and help in building them sustainable houses.
As you can see, the houses that are made of mud. And this one of the examples, this house was quite big, but just to have room for people to sleep, since they don't have anywhere to go, as you have noticed, they have made it much smaller. So the help that we gave them, we had to engage the community of Kasupe, who donated clothes, Millie Meal, one of the business people that we have, he donated the Millie Meal, and some cash. People made some contributions. So from the people that were affected, we had to hand over the same. Each household at least was given a 200 kwacha.
Area village headman, as well as some residents, have expressed their gratitude.
Wanatandizwa kwa hapa, wanawapasako, wanatandizwa na 10 kg ya unga, then na vovala, so tuonga tandiza mine watandiza badi hapa manyumba yagwa ya mbili kuno ya mine yagwa.
Mafuta yametapita nayo manyumba kugwa na zambili batitandizira especially bakansira batu nabo bayimilira ntawo yonse, so tupiteka mavuto batitandizira kuno tionga New Dawn government bapitilize noti pano chabe sikoronsi la Zambia.
Meanwhile, the Zambia Meteorology Department has predicted the tropical storm that has been named Anna, stating that it will prevail over most parts of the country from 25th to 31st January 2022. The storm is expected to affect eastern, Copperbelt, western, Lusaka, southern and central provinces. Citizens have been advised to stay indoors and avoid flood-prone areas, as well as standing under trees, as the storm is expected to cause damage to property and a possible loss of lives. Zipora Mshala, Camnet News.
As schools open for the 2022 academic year, the Coach Drivers Union of Zambia has urged its members to be cautious on the road as they play a key role in transporting learners to various destinations. Speaking in an exclusive interview with Camnet TV News, Union President Lackford Nkana says coach drivers must be alert to avoid traffic accidents. He has since advised drivers to avoid road racing in order to preserve lives. More in the following report.
The opening of schools, both general and tertiary institutions, like always, is characterized with a number of activities ranging from planning to payments and high purchasing rate in business places. But for the transport sector, it is an opportunity to generate more profit as the clientele base swiftly grows to double the usual. The coach buses for a long time have played a key role in transporting its passengers as the more opted mode of transport, especially on long distances. With the current road traffic accident statistics of the year 2021, which indicates an increase in road traffic accidents by 3,888 compared to the year 2020. The Coach Buses Drivers Union of Zambia, President Lackford Nkana, has urged its members to remain professional on the road amid its school opening for 2022 academic year. He says this during an exclusive interview with Camnet TV.
It is a professional job. So even at this time as we are in this season of moving the school children going back to school and the other general public, travelers, it is our responsibility to see to it that people depart from point A to reach their point Z destination. So I think to my members, you are being reminded about your responsibility. We are being reminded about the mandate that are laid upon our shoulders to say we move the nation.
Mr. Nkata has noted the need for refresher courses for drivers to enhance professionalism in their operations.
Those people's hopes to reach their destination safely are all on our shoulders as coach drivers. So we will be looking further forward where we will need to sit down with the bus operators, us drivers, and of course the RATSA to see how best we can work together to see to it that drivers are going through trainings and refresher courses, always to refresh their mind, to remind them about their responsibilities.
He has also advised drivers to avoid road racing, a common vice that poses a danger to both passengers and threatens the transport sector in general. Alex Shimba, Camnet News in Lusaka.
UPND National Youth Chairman Gilbert Liswaniso says government has released about 6 million kwacha for the rehabilitation of the 135-kilometer Sioma-Shangombo road. Mr. Liswaniso says following the UPND manifesto of not leaving anyone behind, a lot of developmental projects shall be undertaken in their locality, such as road construction. He urged residents of Shangombo to form cooperatives that will see them benefit from the CDF.
Each and everybody that they can participate. That's why today, from the CDF has increased 25.7 million, meaning he wants us the community to participate on the ground. By doing that, we need to form this cooperative, and it has come to stay. So as the National Youth Chairman and our team, we have no choice to go around to sensitize our people and to emphasize that that's a new life now, all of us. It will not be good today, but 2, 3, 4 years from now, the foundation which Mr. Chairman now has brought to this country, it will bring more fruits as we go now, even the next generation, that Zambian people know they can do business on their own. That's part of creation of the jobs. Two, also,
Caritas Zambia Executive Director Eugene Kabilika says there is a need for investigative wings to add more publicity to various cases of corruption that they are currently pursuing of other prominent people aside from the cases involving politicians. In an interview, Mr. Kabilika says the over-publicity on political figures from the former ruling Patriotic Front Party is sending a wrong perception that only they are being probed on corruption charges when it is not the case. He has further commended the Zambia Police Service for heeding the call from the head of state for professionalism in this service, stating that they are now operating more freely compared to the previous regime.
Slowly but surely, this fight is becoming bit by bit politicized because of either the pronouncements of those people who are in government or opposition parties and generally the citizens. So once that the politics begins to mingle into this, then we'll lose the fight for corruption. Because then people will say, oh no, they are targeting us, no, because we come from this region, no, because we are this and that. Then that is politicizing the whole fight. But we are forgetting that where we are coming from, the police had no freedom of maneuver. We saw that, so we can be able to prove it. Because they were either taught what to do, and then it was difficult for them to literally follow these cases. They will tell you that it was very difficult to respond to any of those corruption cases. Now that they have freedom to respond to it, other people think that they are targeting them. So the police must show that they are not actually targeting those that they are following so that there's enough information. So what is sometimes missing in this fight for corruption is information. What is happening? What is the police doing? How much have they recovered? What else are they doing? That information the public is yearning to have. It is not very readily available. So that is what is causing the problem.
Civil Society for Scaling Up Nutrition, CSO SAN Country Coordinator Matthew Zimhuru is disappointed that the Nutrition Act No. 3 of 2020 has not adequately been implemented. Speaking after a stakeholder consultative meeting on the status of nutrition in the country, Mr. Muhuru notes that more needs to be done as the country, while being food secure, is not nutrition secure due to the focus on maize production at the expense of other crops. Meanwhile, Zambia Alliance for Agroecology and Biodiversity National Coordinator Ms. Mutinta Nketani says the Farmer Input Support Program FISP should be reformed to allow farmers to choose the type of inputs they would like to be given to ensure food diversity. More in this report.
With United Nations Sustainable Development Goal No. 3 to which Zambia is signatory, aiming to achieve good health and well-being by 2030, stakeholders in the nutrition sector feel that this may be a challenge to achieve, as nutrition issues seem to be getting inadequate attention in the country. World Bank data indicates that poverty levels stand at over half of the population in Zambia, making good nutrition a matter of concern among stakeholders. In this vein, the Civil Society for Scaling Up Nutrition, CSO SAN, has called for the full implementation of the Food and Nutrition Act No. 3 of 2020 if to achieve nutrition goals. Speaking after a stakeholder consultative meeting on the status of nutrition in the country, CSO SAN Country Coordinator Mr. Matthew Muhuru says information about nutrition needs to be taken to all the districts in the country if to be effective. The stakeholders have emphasized the need to encourage organic farming, stating that it is only now that a high number of inorganic foods have begun to be grown in Zambia that the number of non-communicable diseases has increased.
So even with the Food and Nutrition Act of 2020, you'd realize that this act has been, we've had this act for over 2 years now, but implementation of this act is nowhere. You know, even to a point where the Vice President has to make a commitment at the Nutrition for Growth Summit last year in December to say she will fully see that this particular act is operationalized. So implementing of the laws that we have and policies that we have is a major challenge, and we hope that the new Dawn government would really do things differently and ensure that, you know, all office bearers, you know, they follow what the law provides and they fully implement them and enforce them to ensure that, you know, the public at the end of the day is protected and nutrition related matters are actually scaled up.
Meanwhile, Zambia Alliance for Agroecology and Biodiversity National Coordinator Ms. Mutinta Nketani says the Farmer Input Support Program FISP should be used as a tool to achieve food diversity.
So in case of the e-voucher, for example, people can be given the autonomy to buy small livestock as an investment to diversify, to have fun, to diversify at farm level. They have small livestock that is giving them manure. They have their crop production going on there. They have a garden because they are able to buy seeds to do an irrigated project and things like that. So FISP can be transformed, but it can also be transformed to provide the right inputs to the farmers and the right inputs in terms of the appropriate technologies, capacity building on what they need to know regarding agroecology or other alternative methods of farming that are less destructive to the environment and to themselves. And also it can be transformed to channel the right seeds at the right time, the knowledge and empowerment that they will get from that.
The stakeholders have emphasized the need for ensuring that the country is nutrition secure and not just food secure. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Economist Trevor Hambai has charged that the marketing structure in Zambia has been contributing to the downfall of smallholder farmers. Speaking in an exclusive interview with Camnet News, Mr. Hambai says small-scale farmers have failed to break through the industry because they sell their produce at a price lower than the production cost. Mr. Hambai says there is need to create warehousing facilities within the localities where most smallholder farmers are based, which will allow them sell their produce at a commercial price and make a good return for their business. More in this report.
Agriculture plays a very important role in any economy. Half of Zambia's population is involved in agriculture, which is also the highest employer of the population. However, most small-scale farmers in Zambia have remained small in a long time, and this can be attributed to lack of a proper market for farmers to sell their produce. Economist Trevor Ambaye says the country is all lined up with agriculture produce, but says the fact that the produce are being sold at the roadside shows that there is no proper market structure for the produce.
What you do see around the country is that if you're driving anywhere within the countryside is that it is all lined up with agricultural produce, which is a very positive aspect that the agriculture sector is actually producing produce. The ones that are sold on the roadside is obviously that the price is depressed, and it continues to be able to take away the benefits from the small-scale farmers. The small-scale farmers have been doing this for 20 years and they still remain small-scale farmers because they are not selling at a profitable rate. This needs to be addressed as well.
Mr. Ambaye has since appealed to the government to create the right access to the market, which will support the agriculture sector.
The fact that they're selling it on the roadside is an inherent issue that there is failure within the marketing structure, and they have got nowhere else to take their product. This needs to be resolved in ensuring that we can create the right access to market through having to create either warehousing facilities within those localities to support the agriculture sectors. We need to be able to ensure that when they do actually put their product on the commercial market, that they are paid on time, and it's not a debt structure that we are running on.
Ministry of Agriculture and other stakeholders have an important role to play to ensure that farmers get the right benefit of their labor. Hence the need to look into the plight of the farmers, especially those in the rural areas. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
It's now time for a break, but we'll be back with more news after this break.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, too, me.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry.
There's so much data.
Mom? Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow! Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
This Friday, join Pastor Moses Chiluba on the ministry as he hosts Bishop John Mambo.
People have made mistakes. I've made mistakes. I've gone before the food bench and said, look, I made a mistake, I'm sorry, because there was misgiving. All I'm saying is that we cannot afford the young ones, upcoming clergy. They will be worse if at all we don't put our house in order. The same politician that we call to these services, they look at us as a bunch of junk. We don't mean anything.
At exactly 20:45 hours, only on DSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 98, and Topstar channel 106.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. Minister of Trade, Commerce and Industry, Chipoka Mulenga, says about 3,000 metric tons of fertilizer is expected to be produced by United Capital Fertilizer Company Zambia Limited in July 2022. Mr. Mulenga says the fertilizer has specifically been designed for the soil composition of Zambia, which will maximize on yields and production costs for the local farmers. The minister says the government is keeping its promise of ensuring that cheap fertilizer is locally produced, which will lower the commodity price on the Zambian market. And Wonderful Group of Companies Limited Group Deputy Chief Executive Officer Roy Mwamba says the first phase of the project currently underway is expected to produce 300,000 metric tons of fertilizer per annum, and that the second phase will double the production.
So we want to see the fertilizer plant set up, and we were hoping that it would be November, December this year when the production is starting. But from what I've been informed is they are working ahead of schedule. Probably the first production should even start this July. And this July we are expected to see over 300,000 metric tons of fertilizer being locally produced. By the way, we have been very consistent as New Dawn government. It's not just about job creation. It's about the decency of the jobs that are being created, the quality of the jobs that are being created. So definitely this plant that they are putting up will produce fertilizer that is specifically designed for a type of soil composition in the region of Zambia, so that we maximize on the yield and on the production of it.
We are calling this site we have come to as phase one. The phase one that we are visiting today will produce 300,000 metric tons per annum. Then we'll go to another phase, which we want to promise one of the ministers that by Q2 next year, we'll double on phase two. On another side, works have already commenced also.
The Center for Trade Policy and Development senior researcher Webi Banda has urged the government to aggressively implement a robust local content framework. Mr. Banda says doing so will provide an alternative arena of extracting maximum benefit from the mining sector for the citizenry apart from fiscal leakages. Mr. Banda also says the center thinks there is a need to identify intervention points in the mine project life cycle and create linkages between mining firms and local suppliers. He says this will aid in reducing the gap between supplier capabilities and demands by mining firms.
This is against the backdrop that this provides an alternative arena of extracting maximum benefits from the mining sector for the citizenry apart from fiscal linkages. It is also important to stress that this can only come to fruition if government invests in local manpower development, but also investment in supplier development. We must appreciate the fact that there's a wide gap between supplier capabilities as well as what is demanded by mining companies on one hand. So it's important that the incentives, there's a skills development to actually meet these gaps.
The Human Street Health Aid Zambia has embarked on a teachers training project aimed at empowering teachers with basic menstrual hygiene information. In an interview, Association Director Edgar Silwemba has explained that the project will target over 48 teachers in Chongwe District within the first quarter of the year 2022. Mr. Silwemba has further revealed that the organization is to donate over 1,000 menstrual sanitary pads to the rural schools from Chongwe District.
We intend to empower over 1,000 girls with menstrual cups in the first quarter, which is the first term of 2022. Going further, we hope that at the end of the year we can have more girls getting support from a girls empowerment initiative, a school support initiative, which was launched about 2 years ago, where we as an organization provide sanitary pads and also menstrual cups to the girls in rural communities. We understand that menstrual cups are a new phenomenon, especially in rural areas or setups of Zambia. So we intend to keep the teachers with information and knowledge to help them comprehend and probably face all rising challenges stemmed from this project.
We'll be back with international and sports news after this break.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum Products for that perfect skin.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, chumi.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
In international news, Tropical Storm Anna has wreaked havoc in Madagascar, bringing heavy rains, floods and mudslides in the capital, Antananarivo. Thousands have been evacuated and 20 districts are on high alert. People living in impoverished areas with poor drainage are more vulnerable to flooding. Many rescue teams have taken to boats to navigate the high waters. Others are organizing freshwater supplies, hygiene packs and food. Meanwhile, the crisis between Russia and Ukraine has prompted one of the biggest mobilizations of Western forces in Europe in generations, but it is a delicate balancing act. The West fears Moscow is preparing a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, while the Kremlin says it is countering decades of NATO expansion eastwards. Here's a roundup of international news.
This is Madagascar's capital, Antananarivo, much of it submerged underwater after days of unrelenting rainfall. Two storms sent water rushing through these streets. Resident Pierre Michel shows the damage left in the wake.
The power is cut in this area. We have to deal with that and the floods. We're never at peace. Everyone is affected, not only my home, but all the houses in this neighbourhood.
Neighbour Vivian does her best to clear the water. Her family is staying for now.
The water came in and we didn't know how to get it out of the house, so we put the kids on the bunk bed. My husband and I then sorted through our stuff to see the damage.
Local officials are asking people to leave their homes and join thousands of others at established shelters.
We've set up the first shelters to receive the victims, and the municipality will take care of them. We call on all disaster victims to leave their homes and go to the shelters.
This school gymnasium is providing short-term refuge. Most of those who escaped say their homes were swept away or destroyed.
Part of our house has collapsed. We ask for help. We can't live at home because it's flooded. If we leave here, we have nowhere to go.
Our house was flooded twice. The first time we stayed there, but this time we had to leave because the mattresses are wet and our baby got sick.
It's not unusual to see heavy rain during the wet season, but this was exceptional. With more than 100 millimeters of rainfall in just one day, 20 districts are now on high alert. And people living in impoverished areas with poor drainage are more vulnerable to flooding. Many rescue teams have now taken boats to navigate the high waters. Others are organising fresh water supplies, hygiene packs and food, as many are now vulnerable to waterborne diseases. From the sky, it's clear how much work needs to be done, as thousands of homes remain submerged, and the forecast shows more rainfall now on the horizon. Laura Bowden-Manley, Al Jazeera.
Practice drills over the Baltic Sea by British, French and Danish pilots. Western powers are honing their response to Russia's military build-up near Ukraine with a display of combat readiness. The Danes have also sent fighter jets and a frigate to join NATO efforts in the Baltic. Do too much and the alliance risks being drawn into a conflict in a country they have no treaty obligation to protect. Do too little and a potential Russian invasion risks destabilising not just Ukraine, but the entire region.
If the worst happens and the destructive firepower of the Russian army were to engulf Ukraine's towns and cities, I shudder to contemplate the tragedy that would ensue. And the bloodshed comparable to the first war in Chechnya or Bosnia.
4,000 NATO troops are on standby in the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. Once part of the Soviet Union, they're now ardent NATO members, and thousands more reinforcements are ready to deploy there. In Ukraine itself, small contingents of American and British troops have been training local forces. A flow of military aid's been arriving too. This a shipment of British anti-tank weapons. And these are boxes of American ammunition to help Ukraine defend itself. Since 2014, the US alone has spent $2.5 billion arming the Ukrainian military with defence systems and electric warfare units, all at no cost. And the EU says it's mobilising all resources to fend off cyber attacks.
The Commission proposes a new emergency macrofinancial assistance package.
Agreeing also this week on a $1.7 billion financial aid package to help Ukraine and, importantly, Ukrainians weather any drawn-out conflict. All this, of course, is what we know about. Covert and overt operations are happening simultaneously, with the UK last week claiming the Russians were planning to install this man as a puppet president following a successful takeover of the country. Russia dismissed the claims. True or false, NATO wants Russia to know its joint intelligence efforts are trained on Moscow.
Western agencies that are analysing this know, for instance, that right now the Russian forces aren't really ready to conduct any kind of attack against Ukraine, but they know that in 2 weeks they will be. So it's about, as in all forms of deterrence or compellence, it's about signalling intent.
But it may be the threat of never-seen-before sanctions against Russia by the EU, US and others that prove the most effective deterrent in the West's arsenal. Russia's 2014 annexation of Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula caught Allied Western forces off guard, with European security once again at stake. The NATO alliance wants its presence firmly felt. Neve Barker, Al Jazeera, London.
We now have sports news. And in sports news, head coach Eddie Jones has confirmed Farrell needs surgery on the injury sustained in training for Saracens last week. It was hoped the 30-year-old would start the opener against Scotland on February 5 after recovering from damage to the other ankle, which had kept him out for 2 months. Saracens have confirmed Farrell will undergo surgery on Wednesday and faces 8 to 10 weeks of rehabilitation. British and Irish Lions flanker Courtney Lawes is penciled in to replace Farrell as captain, resuming a role he filled with distinction during the autumn. Lawes is progressing through the return-to-play protocols for concussions sustained on Northampton duty against Ulster on January 16, but should recover in time for the trip to Maryfield. That sports story brings us to the end of the news, but we'll take a look at stories making headlines once again. Heavy rains cause havoc in Zambia's Chilanga district. SEC NABS Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority officials. The state denies threatening former PF boss Davies MWILA with prosecution. In international news, thousands homeless after homes swept away in Madagascar floods. And Sports News, England captain Owen Farrell ruled out of Six Nations with ankle injury. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, coming from the book of 1 Timothy chapter 6 verse 12. Fight the good fight for the faith. Take hold of eternal life that you were called to and have made a good confession about in the presence of many witnesses. On that note, we come to the end of the news. But thanks for watching Camnet TV Main News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Bye-bye.